Utopia versus dystopia. Utopias and dystopias serve as compass points for societal thought. What people fear often materializes in the intricate portrayals of dystopias, while what they desire takes the form of utopias. These constructs, in essence, act as mirrors reflecting the collective anxieties and aspirations of humanity and provide a framework through which we examine the possible future trajectories of our societies. Individual and collective ethics play an essential role in our pursuit of utopia and our attempts to steer clear of dystopia. On a personal level, our ethical compass influences our actions, decisions, and our understanding of right and wrong. It shapes our vision of an ideal world, our personal utopia, and guides us in living a life that reflects these values. Yet, these utopian ideals can vary dramatically among individuals, reflecting the diverse range of ethical perspectives that exist within a society. At a collective level, ethics shape societal norms, laws, and regulations, influencing the collective aspiration towards utopia. It's this shared sense of ethical duty that can unify a society, driving collective efforts to achieve shared goals and avoid dystopian outcomes. However, harmonizing these diverse individual ethics into a shared ethical framework is a challenging task. It requires dialogue, understanding, and compromise. The struggle to balance individual and collective ethics in pursuit of utopia and avoidance of dystopia is a central theme in our ongoing societal evolution. However, it is crucial to understand that both utopias and dystopias are often idealized embodiments of fears and hopes, rather than concrete certainties. They are the extremes on a continuum of possibilities, not fixed destinations. They are less about predicting the exact shape of the future, and more about illuminating the spectrum of potential outcomes shaped by our choices, actions and inactions. In this way, the dichotomy of utopia and dystopia becomes a powerful tool in our dialogue about the present, and our navigation towards the future. In assessing a society, subjective bias inevitably plays a significant role. This might lead to a skewed perception where even the most ominous scenarios and societies are not recognized as dystopias by some. Often, the lens through which we view these potential realities is colored by our personal hopes, fears, and values. This variability in perception underscores the subjectivity inherent in the delineation of utopias and dystopias, highlighting that they are, in many ways, reflective of personal convictions rather than absolute realities. Conversely, in any society that aims to be an ideal, a utopia, one can, with the right inclination, discern elements of dystopia. No society, regardless of its aspirations, is exempt from imperfections. The utopian dream can obscure underlying cracks that, upon closer inspection, reveal dystopian elements. This interplay between utopian aspirations and dystopian realities further emphasizes the complexity and nuances inherent in these constructs, urging us to explore beyond simplistic categorizations when engaging in discourse about societal futures. The actual future often defies our binary expectations of utopia or dystopia. When we scrutinize past predictions, it becomes evident that many prognostications have faltered. It's an indication that simple extrapolation of contemporary issues into the future does not always yield accurate results. Our capacity to project the future is often constrained by the context of our present circumstances and the limits of our imagination. The evolving nature of society presents a different tableau. New challenges emerge that were unforeseen, while problems that once seemed insurmountable in the past may become irrelevant or even resolved. Thus, we come to understand that the fabric of the future is woven not only from the threads of our aspirations and fears but also from the unpredictable and emergent patterns of societal evolution. This realization reinforces the notion that our images of utopia and dystopia are fluid, influenced by the shifting sands of time and perspective. Technology plays an indispensable role in shaping our visions of utopias and dystopias. On one hand, advanced technology represents the height of human ingenuity and potential, serving as a beacon for our utopian aspirations. It promises to solve critical challenges, from disease eradication to sustainable energy solutions, and fosters hopes of an equitable, prosperous, and enlightened society. Our utopian visions are often framed within the context of a technologically advanced society where human struggle is minimized, and the quality of life is dramatically improved. However, technology can also fuel our fears and dystopian nightmares. It's in the uncontrolled AI systems, the pervasive surveillance, and the depersonalizing automation where we glimpse dystopia. These technologies, unchecked, could potentially erode personal freedom, exacerbate social inequalities, and devalue human experiences. Technology's double-edged nature underlines the need for thoughtful and responsible innovation. It emphasizes our responsibility to navigate the fine line between technological utopia and dystopia, reminding us that technology, in its essence, is a tool whose impact is shaped by the hands that wield it. Ecological and climate threats have emerged as significant factors in the creation of dystopian scenarios in contemporary thought. The scale of these threats, driven by human activities, has raised the specter of a future Earth in grave peril, a common motif in modern dystopian narratives. Far from the untouched Edenic vision of the world, this depiction of the future is characterized by catastrophic environmental events, the extinction of species, and resource depletion, propelling societies into an abyss of social unrest, scarcity, and uncertainty. The dystopian vision thrives on the notion of a planet stretched beyond its limits by overconsumption and neglect, with the consequences of this imbalance disrupting the very fabric of life. It acts as a stark contrast to the utopian aspiration for harmonious coexistence with the natural world. While utopian ideals strive for a balance between progress and preservation, dystopian narratives accentuate the perils of imbalance and unchecked advancement. The portrayal of ecological and climate threats is not just an element of literary creativity, but a call for humanity to reconsider its relationship with the environment, to move away from the path leading towards dystopia and towards one that enables the realization of a more sustainable utopia. What often strikes fear into our hearts is not the potential dystopian scenarios of the distant future, but rather, the terrifying realization that our current society could unexpectedly metamorphose into a dystopia. Such transformations can occur abruptly, as witnessed during a pandemic or a sudden outbreak of war. These scenarios underscore the fragility of our societal structures and our susceptibility to swift and dramatic shifts towards dystopia. Equally troubling is the acknowledgement that we, as humans, are often instrumental in these transformations. Whether by directly instigating the catastrophe or by exacerbating an already dreadful scenario through our responses, we bear a significant portion of the responsibility. This realization offers a sobering perspective on the roles we play in the formation of our societal futures, highlighting the powerful influence of human agency in shaping the trajectory from utopia to dystopia and the spaces in between. We have witnessed how a seemingly stable political regime can abruptly transform into a dystopia, and it's this sudden shift that arouses our primal fears. Human nature tends to adapt to gradual changes, but abrupt alterations, particularly those curbing fundamental freedoms, are difficult for us to tolerate. It's not the change per se that unsettles us, but rather, the unpredictability and speed of these changes that challenge our adaptability and resilience. Social injustice and inequality have assumed significant roles in the landscape of dystopian narratives. They embody a society that has strayed from the utopian ideals of fairness, harmony, and egalitarianism, finding itself instead entrenched in deep-seated disparities. This dystopian portrayal is one of a future where the societal scales are heavily tipped in favor of a select few, while the majority grapples with poverty, marginalization, and diminished opportunities. It is a realm where human dignity and fundamental rights are compromised, and where the meritocratic vision of society gives way to structures of oppression and privilege. Such dystopian narratives resonate with us because they mirror, albeit in an exaggerated fashion, the prevalent issues in our current societies. They serve as a stark reminder that the unchecked proliferation of injustice and inequality can lead to societal fragmentation and disillusionment. Dystopian narratives pose these social conditions not merely as potential future scenarios, but as cautionary tales that encourage introspection and reform. By contrast, the utopian vision promotes a society built on the tenets of social justice and equitable distribution of resources, a world where each individual's rights and dignity are respected and protected. Thus, the dystopian perspective of social injustice and inequality underscores the urgency to strive for a more equitable and just society, aligning with the core principles of utopian ideals. The interplay between political idealism and realism is a fascinating and complex aspect of both utopian and dystopian narratives. Utopian visions often hinge on political idealism, painting a picture of a society ruled by benevolence, equity, and common good. These depictions involve political systems that are free from corruption and abuse, where leaders prioritize societal welfare over personal gains. They represent the epitome of what could be achieved if politics were driven purely by principles of justice, fairness, and altruism. On the other hand, dystopian narratives often reflect political realism, focusing on power dynamics, conflicts, and the struggle for survival. They highlight how the pursuit of power can compromise ethical standards, lead to social divisions, and engender an environment of fear and oppression. This grim portrayal of politics is a stark reminder of the dangers of disregarding moral compasses in the political arena. While utopian visions encourage us to strive for an ideal political system, dystopian narratives serve as cautionary tales, emphasizing the need for a balanced approach that marries idealism with realism. Both perspectives call for reflection on our political structures and practices, advocating for reforms that are rooted in fairness, transparency, and respect for human dignity. Yet, what's striking is the apparent inability of the majority, despite their discontent, to significantly influence these transformations. It feels like a losing battle, with the reins of power firmly held by those in authority. The struggle against such power dynamics often resembles a game where amateurs are pitted against professionals. This sense of helplessness, coupled with the perceived inevitability of such transitions, deepens our apprehension of slipping into dystopian realities and underscores the importance of vigilance in our pursuit of utopian aspirations. We find ourselves woefully unprotected against any deterioration, barbaric laws, cruelty, and most alarmingly, the idiocy and indifference of any authority, including those shadowy puppet masters lurking behind them. It matters little what society we consider, from the dysfunctional to the frontrunners of our civilization, we are equally vulnerable. It is an astonishing incongruity that in many domains, humanity has reached heights of logistics and efficiency, yet the most crucial aspects, government and national management, remain ineffective and prone to sinister manipulation by those who perpetually remain in the shadows. This glaring discrepancy underscores a significant challenge that contemporary societies face: the need for effective governance that can resist manipulation and uphold the well-being of its constituents. It is a sobering realization that, despite our advancements, we are still susceptible to the devastating impacts of poor leadership and ill-conceived policies. This duality of progress and stagnation embodies the tension between our utopian aspirations and dystopian realities, underscoring the complexities inherent in our journey towards a more ideal society. Hence, in every utopia, elements of dystopia can be detected. The very nature of our world, riddled with contradictions, aging, death, cruelty, and a pervasive survival of the fittest ethos, can be seen as a colossal dystopia when closely examined. It's as if our world is a grand edifice of seeming perfection, but beneath the facade, its foundation is rooted in dystopian elements. We've grown accustomed to perceiving this elegant facade as perfect, yet the undercurrents of dystopian reality subtly erode its gloss. This paradoxical blend of utopia and dystopia is perhaps an intrinsic characteristic of our existence, a testament to the dynamic interplay of aspiration and reality. While the veneer of perfection may inspire us toward utopian ideals, the unvarnished truths beneath remind us of the real-world complexities we must confront. It is in this bittersweet intersection that we continue our search for societal perfection, fully aware of the dystopian underpinnings that challenge our quest for utopia.